hopefully gonna have a Okay, so hello everyone. Thank you for coming today to listen to our project presentation. My name is Connor Johnson, and I'm very excited to introduce our group today. So we are the Liberty Square Master Plan Group. So as I said, my name is Connor. I have Pierre and Brady up here with me who will help go through this presentation. And additionally, we have additional team members, Amani, Emma, Steven, and Farnaz as well. The design specialists that are highlighted in the second column, Farnaz, Lena, and Alex, were very helpful in rendering the final designs that you'll see later in this presentation. Once again, similar to the last group, we want to thank our community partners, Matt Brook and Karen Rowan. And then additionally, our faculty advisors have provided a lot of support, along with our alumni mentor, to help guide us through this whole project experience to allow us to provide the best final product that we could. And here's a photo of our group. We're not as professional. We don't have headshots, but this is our vibe.
Friendly selfie.
So starting off, we have the Liberty Square here in Clinton, which is split between the Highway 30 along the railroad tracks, and then also south of Liberty Square is the ADM plant. So those are some of the large defining characteristics that we started our analysis on and helped us to better understand what type of area we were dealing with. And additionally, these characteristics have remained consistent over the years. As you can see, from 1930s to 1950s, the Highway 30 continues to go through Clinton and has helped drive economic growth and job growth in the area. And additionally, the railroad has been a consistent factor as well, being a major factor and element in the city. And then additionally, the little circle up in the upper right corner represents some of the industries that were there in the past, such as the Northwest and Chicago car repair shop, and just illustrates the type of businesses and elements that were brought to Clinton in the past. And additionally, now over in 2021, you see Highway 30 split, but overall still main characteristics remain. So moving on from our general first view of the area, we also utilized some guiding documents to help us understand what the goals of the city were and what they wanted from this area. And as you can see, goal 4 from the City of Clinton's comprehensive plan is create a redevelopment plan for Liberty Square, and that is our project, and we are very happy and excited to work on it and hopefully contribute to the success of the overall comprehensive plan for the city moving forward. And one of the things that makes this project such an exciting opportunity for both the city and our project group is the amount of land within Liberty Square that is publicly owned, which represents a clean slate, lots of flexibility, and lots of opportunity for growth and economic development, and for the city to make the space fit the community and make it something lasting and memorable. And additionally, one of the interesting constraints that we had as well is the new substation put in the middle. That's one of the private land portions, as well as the Old Town Restaurant, which brings up that even though we are trying to create a redevelopment plan, we don't want to leave existing infrastructure behind. So we want to make sure that we are incorporating people who are there currently into our project plan. And as you can see, view from Liberty Square, the picture on the left showcases some of the existing infrastructure, such as sidewalks and lampposts, as well as the aesthetic features of the stone structures and the wave. And that is something that we'd like to build upon and continue to incorporate and make something that continues to define Clinton and also makes it more than just a strip mall or something that fits the community. And as well as the picture on the right just showcases that this is a blank slate. We are artists looking at a blank canvas, and we had lots of fun trying to come up with ideas that would make this space exciting and inviting, and also a good fit for the city and area. So from that initial site visit and analysis of the area, we just came up with the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats to the area. It's a very complex site in that the location offers both strengths and weaknesses, and that is a highway median, and that it brings a lot of traffic and visibility to the area, but also it kind of sections off the area from the rest of Clinton. And those types of elements provide some a balance for the group that we had to maintain, that we wanted to highlight the strengths and also get past any sort of weaknesses or challenges that might be in our way. And so to start with that, using our SWOT analysis, we came up with a survey to get some initial public input. And the main feature of that survey was 8 hypothetical land use designs that we wanted to get feedback on from residents themselves or visitors from nearby communities on what they would like to see in the area. And this, because it's a blank slate, there's so many options, we need to narrow down our choices and make our designs fit what the community wanted from a space. Additionally, we asked questions about what values and what overall goals the respondents would like to see happen in Liberty Square. And we did this through 2 tabling events at a local basketball clinic as well as Hy-Vee. So we did this last November, I believe. It was late last fall, and we had physical surveys that we handed out to people, and we got a good number of responses in that day, and were able to engage with many people in the community. And additionally, we were able to then post the survey link on Facebook and the local newspaper as well, so it was able to be circulated, and in the end, we ended up getting over 150 responses. Not all of them were complete, but it gave us a lot of useful data to then inform our future decision making. And so one of the most important outcomes from the survey was the desired land uses that the community wanted. So number one was culture, heritage, community, something that would help showcase the history of Clinton and help make it a more memorable experience for people coming into Clinton. Additionally, the second and third options were a walkable active gathering space, as well as a recreation, entertainment, family-friendly type establishments. And one interesting feature is that the culture and heritage community was most desired by the older generation, so the older age groups of 55 and older. And then the youngest age group, so anyone below 30, the walkable active gathering space was their most desired land use that they would like to see. So additionally, the values and outcomes that we identified, environmental practices and economic resilience were two values that the response picked highest and something that should be considered when trying to develop this area. And then additionally, outcomes, they would like to see some increased jobs, and then also while bettering the environment. So again, finding that fine balance between economic development and also environmental management. And what these findings allowed us to then do is then transition into creating some design layouts and aesthetics that we could then propose again and get another round of feedback on to make a good final product. And now I'll hand this off to Sapir, who will go over that next part of the project.
Thank you. All right, so moving forward, based on the analysis and the site visits that we had, we came up with a land use development matrix, which we divide the area into 5 distinct areas. So the first one, which is in green right now, it is the entryway into the district. And area 1 and 2, both together, as we know, they are most affected by the negative outcomes of negative outcomes of the ADM, or the industrial side, and the traffic. While area 3 and 4, they actually were better for development and placemaking. So based on that, we kind of came up with 4 different concept maps, which in each of them, they have all different characteristics for each zone and area that we had in the district. So, and also we had the concept map 4, which is a highway transportation change situation, which Brady goes over more in detail. And so these are some photos that we had from our last community engagement event that we had, and we got really good feedback, and then they helped us to develop a better vision of the area. So moving forward, this is the final concept map that we had for the area, which kind of incorporates some of the ideas that we had in the previous concept maps, and we kind of combined the ideas based on the feedback that we got. So people liked drive-throughs, people liked light industrial in zone 2, and also the courtyard design that we had. So starting from here, we had some 3D design ready for this presentation here. So this is the area 1, and on the map on the right side, below right, we can see that which area is that. And this is the area that was one of the areas that was most impacted by the negative externalities and the impacts of the light industrial. So we thought about having prairie and solar panels. Solar panels actually work as aesthetic visuals for the area as well. So because that's an entryway for into the district, that would be aesthetically pleasing for people who are passing through. And these are some other views from that area. And then moving forward to area 2. For this area, we can see that people and the community partners, they actually wanted to see both industrial uses and the commercial uses. Also, we had a lot of feedback on having drive-throughs. So we also incorporated that into the design. So the first half of the area, we thought about having industrial uses or in that part, and also moving forward to the second one. Yes, here. These buildings can also be utilized for commercial uses, and also a museum was a good idea to some people. So yeah, and then moving forward to area 3, which is my favorite area, to be honest. And so for this area, we can see that there are some elements that are going on. I know that there's a lot going on in this design. So we had parking was one of the most concerns that people had. So we also wanted to have a more pedestrian-friendly and pedestrian-oriented area for Area 3, like vision for Area 3. So we pushed the parkings to the sides and also try to have windy rows going down into the middle of the area so that kind of represent the river that we have in Clinton. So that was one idea, and then some other shots, which is basically this area. This is the courtyard design, which is we got the idea from Persian courtyard, which was designed many centuries ago back in Iran. But the idea was to create an area with an interior space for people who are visiting or want to interact with each other in that area, to be kind of safe and sheltered from the traffic that is going on around them, and also kind of create a more intimate place for people if they want to hang out in the cafes, get a coffee, or even just enjoy being outside. And also we had ideas about having solar panels on the roof, because we had plenty of space there, and also that falls aligned with our sustainability goals for the area. Moving forward, another shot of the area, and then here we can see that. So we have a cafe. We can have cafes on the corners of the area, also other commercial uses. In addition to that, the fountain or the water element that actually blocks off the noise of the traffic going by. So that was one of the things that people very enjoyed when we were discussing that in our final gathering event. Moving forward, we have another shot. I'm just gonna take some seconds, give you some seconds to look at this renderings, and then we can move forward. So. This is a walkway that kind of connects all the areas together. So, and then moving forward to Area 4, which is, this area was mainly designed to be a park and a gathering space for people who want to be kind of be outside, not doing many stuff, but also having a space. And also we have on that area there, I can show it on the right side, that actually can act as an outside venue, because we got feedback from the community that there might be vendors or even food trucks that they want to be outside and then selling their stuff. So that could be a potential area for them to kind of gather around, showcase their stuff. So yeah. And also we got some feedback on having bus stops regarding going to the area and coming out. So for this area, we can see that there is a bus stop going on. That's the bus stop. It can kind of turns into the parking area, drop off people, pick up people, and then go back into the highway. So if the highway situation stays the same. And also, this is a demo basically of how it would look like. The sound is not there, but yeah. That green area is the electrical substation. We kind of put the model in, but because of the software restrictions, we couldn't kind of handle it. So Area 3, the courtyard design, and then Area 4. And with this demo, I kind of hand it over to Brady to talk about his transportation stuff.
Did you guys design all that?
Yes.
What is Lumion? Is that like the program?
So we used AutoCAD first to create a 2D model, and then import that into SketchUp to make everything 3D. And then for post-production, we use Lumion, which is basically allows us to give different surfaces, different materials to different buildings, add objects. And a fun fact about that design, we had put 10,000 objects in that design. So Yeah, that took some time, but yeah.
There's our PowerPoint.
My visuals aren't quite as fancy from now on, so I have to temper your expectations now. But in order to achieve something like this conceptual visualization of what Liberty Square could be based on our community engagement of it and feedback we've gotten from residents of what they want to see in terms of walkability, in terms of community space, in terms of increased economic viability and opportunity for the area, there's a few alterations that will need to take place. And so first I'm going to talk about transportation. A few recommendations that we would have in the near future concurrent with new proposed development in Liberty Square would be to close the through streets of 15th and 13th Avenue, as well as adding or extending 16th Place just on the other side of the utility substation. What this does is create an area where you can have parking on each side, because most of the people coming to this area are going to drive, especially given the current highway situation. So most people are going to drive, but if you have the cars on the exterior sides of this site, the interior can be walkable, it can be safe, can be provide this makers gathering special space here. And other additions to help that connectivity could be adding a pedestrian median or a pedestrian refuge location at 12th, so you could have parking on both sides of 12th Avenue and people could park and safely walk into the interior where the different commercial uses would be. And so those would be our near future recommendations for the area with concurrent development. But we are at the onset of the project, we were also encouraged to think outside of the box and think of how could we best utilize Liberty Square going into the future. And so upon our site analysis, we saw identified Highway 30 as a potential barrier to accessibility and connectivity within the area for Liberty Square and safety, specifically for those who may choose to use alternative forms of transportation, those who may walk, bike, take the bus. It's one of the most highly traveled bus routes in Clinton, runs through this area, and would be even more valuable with new commercial development at this location. So our thought is how could we improve this? How could we change this area from its current kind of highway median status and reconnect it with the rest of the city? If we were able to push some of the traffic down, specifically truck traffic, specifically bypassing passenger vehicle traffic that's not interested in stopping at this location anyways, that's higher speed, you would be able to better connect it to the commercial strip on the north side of Comanche, which is currently kind of isolated, and then all of the mini residential homes to the north side would be able to have greater access and connectivity to this new development. And so in order to do that, we would recommend changing both Liberty Avenue and Comanche from their current one-way orientation to two-way streets, with Comanche acting as a slow-speed local road, as kind of acting as the aesthetic front for the businesses in this area, and Liberty Avenue acting as a truck route, taking all of the truck traffic and bypass vehicle traffic as well. And so you can see here, this is just a model representation of what those kind of changes could potentially look like, how it would work, this potential change. You see the southwest area of Liberty Square with a signalized intersection that converts from one-way traffic to two-way. And then at the northeast side, where closer to where the Hy-Vee is currently, a roundabout would work for this five-way intersection. Based on community feedback, we would want to specifically be careful about large vehicles, oversized loads, being able to navigate these areas, specifically the roundabout, that they'd be able to get to the truck route safely and consistently. So that's kind of based on those feedback. But what this would do would connect the area and push the negative kind of sound and odor, visual negative externalities of the site down towards the industrial uses in the railroad that already currently exists. And there's a little video here. There's another model that this model shows a current status of what it looks like today. And this is using traffic counts for how many people drive on a daily basis through the area. So this is kind of what it looks like currently in a model form. And then this shows you a signalized intersection at the southwest area of Liberty Square on how this kind of change may look. And then this is the northeast top part of Liberty Square with Hy-Vee to the north. This is how the intersection currently functions. And in just a minute, it will switch to the roundabout alternative. Something, a general idea. This is going, the vehicles are going faster, it's sped up, but it wouldn't be going this fast. So slow down here. That's sped up so you don't have to sit here and watch all day. But so this is generally how it would work. And now, as a caveat, we understand this would be a multi-million-dollar project. The highway redevelopment for Highway 30 just finished in 2013. So these proposals that I've just talked about, the more substantial proposals, would be a long-term recommendation. So this would be 10 plus years. You're looking to having to kind of refurbish the area anyways. And so this would be a way to optimize Liberty Square through transportation. There are also additional recommendations that we would have for the area as it currently sits. One of them would be to improve and kind of redo the zoning for the area to allow for a little bit of a greater variety of mix of uses, deregulate things that aren't necessary within the code, but also provide reasonable restrictions for things like shared parking, building design, stormwater management, landscaping, all of these things, because in order to get an outcome that's somewhat similar to the concept that we have been able to visualize with Saper's work. And then all of that also costs money, right, to a certain extent. And so financial incentives to fund some of these common space amenities, some of these development projects, anchor developments, would need to be considered so that you can have quality development that will be there for decades to come. And these kind of finance opportunities could come through tax increment financing district, TIF district, a reinvestment district through the Iowa Economic Development Agency, with which essentially utilizes a sales tax on items sold within the district to reinvest back within the same district. City maintained parking areas or other agreements with developers could be utilized. There's also external grants for certain aspects of the project that would be available. Saper mentioned prairie restoration in Area 1. The Iowa DNR has programs for that where they have grants available for that kind of work. Solar panel installation, long-term transportation redevelopment project that I talked about, programs through the state, through the federal government, a Reconnecting Communities grant. There are several different opportunities through the state and the federal level to receive funding for that kind of project as well when the time comes. And then as far as implementation and kind of the first steps of phasing, things that could be done right after this plan is implemented. First, working with the ECIA to develop new zoning requirements based on what we're talking about here with the master plan. You could start looking to the Iowa DNR for a grant proposal for the designated natural prairie area and welcome signage for that entry into the district, entry into the core of Clinton. That could be kind of a low cost first step. And then there are also power lines that are above ground. Undergrounding those power lines would improve the viability of the site as well. Once these kind of first steps are taken, or kind of concurrently with these first steps, the city can then work with Grow Clinton to kickstart private development. And so we see a lot of opportunity with with Liberty Square. Much of the land is publicly owned. It's highly visible for commercial developers, and it's largely ready for development. And so it's our hope that this master plan will act as a catalyst and guide to turn this community-derived vision into reality.
And Brady, while you're still at the podium, believe you did some coordination with some folks on the road changes. Who did you talk to at the? I'm not trying to say it. Iowa DOT.
Yes, we did talk to the
Yep.
Iowa DOT about this. We've
And-
had we talked to Retail Strategies and some
Yep.
other.
But what did Iowa DOT talk to? What did they say about the road proposal?
So the Iowa DOT, based on what we shared with them, they would be something that they would support in terms of they'd be willing to accept applications for such a proposal. They would also recommend, or not recommend, they would require that the local road, which would be Comanche, would then be taken over by the city.
Yep.
And so, as a part of that process, the state is required to fully bring that road up to specs. So once it was deeded over to the city, it would have many years of full, highest quality use. But that would be something to consider within the process, and that would be a part of the financial consideration, that you have to maintain that part of the road as well. But the lower part, Liberty Avenue, would retain, that would still be the state highway. They would retain control of that. Yeah. Yeah, and that's all we have. We're welcome to have other questions as well.
So, could you go back to the video?
To the video?
Yeah, to the video, and just kind of show it so that we can see
cars
it.
or
The cars, that that like that one, because the question that I have when we go to, let's call it highway and local road, the highway would be turning into a two-way. How are the trucks from ADM side going to cross that traffic? It's like 15th or 16th, I can't remember where they come out of.
Yeah, so the ADM trucks, when they drop off grain, they roll out and they come in behind Old Town.
Yes.
And then they'll go back there. They'll either go right or they cut across. So
And they cut across, so that would,
It'd be a signalized intersection.
yeah,
Yes.
so just signalize.
It would be it'd be a
Just a
so
signalized
they would just-
intersection.
And
Okay.
so where, if you, I can't rewind, but if you go back to where they're actually stopped and they're breaking off to go onto the, right there, so that would be controlled then, just ahead where those cars just went, to time it with the
Okay.
trucks then coming out of ADM.
Because that would be one of the significant issues to deal with. And then
Certainly.
the other idea that you showed is where all the parking lots are entered from the cross streets.
Yeah.
Why did you, I'm just looking for your thought process, enter from the cross streets versus entering from what would now be the local street and the highway? What was your thought process of saying, hey, this would be a better idea because of traffic flow, I'm guessing, but,
That's a good question. So the Iowa DOT does not want additional curb cuts from the
Okay.
highway, and so they want all access to the site
Good,
to come
okay.
from the side streets, and so that's why.
good answer, good answer.
Yeah, and we're actually, if you
Yeah.
drive Comanche today, you'll notice, I think there's 7, but we can utilize all 7 curb cuts that exist today. We just can't put any new ones in.
Right. And then the other question that I had when you were talking about eliminating, I think you said 13th and 15th?
Yep.
And
Cut-throughs.
creating 16th?
Expanding.
Expanding 16th. Does that, from your data, does that make a change in the traffic flow of either the proposed westbound, eastbound of the local road or the westbound, eastbound of the highway? Does the traffic flow change because of that? Because we're eliminating one cross street and, we're,
Yeah, you're actually getting rid of 2. And
Or
if you
getting 2,
if
but-
you ever see the sampling is, it's very low density traffic that goes in between there. And
Okay,
so
yeah,
basically
yeah.
what you're going to do is you're going to push people to the open
To the
crossroads.
open
Yep.
ones, okay.
Yep.
And that was the thought
Yeah.
process of, hey, there is not as much cross-traffic there is
Yep.
as potentially down on 11th, or what's the other one? I can't remember the other one that's up there, 17th Place.
Well, and you
Is
have
that
you
the
have
one?
two,
Yep.
you have a couple of issues that are going on. Not to speak for these guys because they
Yep.
can do it great for themselves, but a couple of the issues is visibility. And so by getting rid of those
okay.
roads and then moving it to where it's the prime areas where they'll be coming
Well-
in and out, just makes a lot more safer sense as well.
Good, okay.
Yeah.
Good, thank you.
No, I don't think this makes it Super 2. I think it could still do. I don't know. Super 2 won't do. Someone said.
This could really stir up a pot.
Yes.
So, how about for someone where Phil just came in, can you go back to one of the diagrams where you have like a final concept?
And Brady, I think there was a hand up back there. I saw a hand from Leslie.
Yeah, like,
Yes.
yeah.
You
There you
guys
go.
want to go after?
Yeah, that
Oh.
one, just so that the people that came in, we got a couple of council members that just came in.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I think both of them were at our thing. But could you do the fly through of the buildings? You had 10,000 things that you put in there. Fly through.
Do that one, should we get started?
Yeah. Well, we're actually as they play the video, we're actually starting the zoning with ECIA next month. So we're already working at Grow Clinton. The reason we were going to do is we're going to put actually signs up. We're not going to get a realtor. It's going to say call Grow Clinton because we're going to start subdividing. Yep. Yep. And we want to see how we start to get interest that way, and then as we start to get some interest, also as we're refining the zoning, we can take the folks that want to come in and make sure we're meeting their needs within the zoning as well.
I have a question.
Oh.
I was just wondering if you kind of speak to the process of the feasibility. If we want to see this development take place, kind of, something close to what's rendered, but then also realize the long-term traffic change, can you do both? Is that development going to have to be changed or moved down the road? You spoke to the fact that the road was already redeveloped once fairly recently, and don't want to get caught in a similar situation with some of the new inputs, I guess.
That's a good question. So currently, the average daily trips for Comanche and Liberty individually are around 7,000 to 8,000 average trips per day. And so the maximum average daily trips for the Iowa DOT for a 3-lane with a middle turn lane 2-way road that they would accept as being something viable from a congestion perspective is around 14,000. So you could, not quite, but you could almost double the current traffic and still it would be more congested, but it would be more reasonable. Like, it would be within a reasonable consideration. Also, another thing to consider is for the local road, a little bit of congestion is actually a good thing because that slows down vehicles. You want people to drive slowly. You want them to see the businesses from both directions, and you want them to be aware of people potentially crossing this new street from either bikers or pedestrians or something like that as well. Does that answer your question a little bit?
Yeah, so the Liberty solution would be, as it's currently proposed, or the idea would be to have two single lanes with a turning lane.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And yes, that's correct. And you could use, as was kind of shown before, pedestrian refuge areas or medians. Not the whole thing is median, but certain areas at cross sections that allow for more safe traversal across the road for the local section specific, or for the local road specifically.
There it is.
Yes. There was a question. Yes.
Hi, I'm Leslie Webster. I'm the Director of Placemaking and Tourism. I work for Grow Clinton also. So I just want to commend you. This is fantastic. I think it's beautiful. I love it. My question to the city is, when can we start? But I think you've done a really great job of really capturing something that's aesthetically pleasing for people coming in, but also really useful for our people who already live here. So I just had a couple of curiosity questions. One, I was wondering what the solar panels will be used for, what that energy will be used for, if anything. And then also, I'm just curious how many parking spaces are in that space.
Okay, so for the solar panel energy, we were thinking about, so if we go back to this, we have this substation, the Kika substation there. There might be, so I think Connor did some research on that, but I think we can kind of store that energy that is produced from that into that substation. And also, apart from that, the solar panels that are on the roof of those buildings, they can be used for energizing for producing the energy for that building. Yeah.
Yeah, and the flower, like the solar tree, that was in zone 1. That would still be public property, and that could, if it was metered, it could then be contributed to the city's electric uses and detract from those costs.
You have lights and other infrastructure on site, so that would help balance off with clean energy, that usage. These trees, as currently the idea for the Area 1, also kind of double as like art installations as well, so you also have that advantage. You look cool, and I know
Yeah, it's awesome.
Can we get those for this summer before June 8th?
For your second question, the parking.
Oh,
Right
yeah.
now in this picture, as we can see, on the south
30 days.
side, south side of the area and the north side, both of these together, there are 370 parking spots. Yeah, for this, only for this zone. And then we have parkings on area 4, which would be the next area. Sorry, I'm jumping from areas a lot. So, and this is another parking. And each zone has its own. Each area has its own parking. Yeah.
Beautiful, love it.
And that's another advantage with the potential long-term transportation change, is that also opens up parking across the street as well. So people could, currently, it's not really feasible to park across the street and walk across the road, but
Yeah, so where you have
But you
the
could in the
little,
future.
the very top which is where the paddle wheel exists currently.
yeah.
I was trying to take pictures and I had to park like in an empty lot and run across that traffic, so.
Any other questions?
Oh,
I just have a question because I'm a resident here. There's another park over there. I think it's kind of close, Chansey Park.
yep.
Yes.
By area 2, yeah.
Do you have that considered in this? And the other question was, you had mentioned something about it helps with, I don't have the words exactly right, but the smell is something about it helping with that. The odor from the
Oh, for the odor? Yeah. For area 1 and area 2, it's kind of hard to
Stronger.
come up with strategies because the odor is strongest in that area. Because we visited that area and it was like, oh, okay, yeah. So that is. We also talked with ADM, and they said that they're doing something with their infrastructure there that is reducing the odor in the next 3 years. So we're hoping for that to happen.
The plan is the CO2 pipeline would actually take all their emissions, put them in the pipeline, and send them over to Illinois. And that would, no, it goes into the, well, I'm serious, but it goes into the ground. It goes into the ground and is stored. So, but the point being is a lot of that smell that comes out actually comes out of the pipes. So the white stuff you see in the, when it's really cold, that's all the emissions that are coming out. In those emissions, it gets staled, it gets held in the air there, and this is going to hurt your head for a minute. There's a high level of formaldehyde. Yes, the same stuff you put bodies in, but that sits there. And so the ozone, if you will, is lower where those area 1 and 2 is. So when that smell comes out of the plant, it sits there. That's why when you're driving by Old Town, you catch the smell versus if you're at the paddle wheel at the other end, you don't. So that will actually be taken out of the pipes, put into the pipes under the ground, sent away to be put back into the ground and stored, and then removing that smell.
So right now it just sits on.
Yes. And it can't escape back into the normal atmosphere, and that's why when you go by, you smell that kind of grainy mash smell, like you might be brewing gin, which they do on Saturdays and Sundays that you'll smell. Yeah.
And as well as in Area 3, kind of where we have the buildings with like an open corridor in the middle, is meant to protect from noise and from like the roads and also from the smell as well. So it's like you can be outside, but you're protected from some of those elements.
So that's why for Area 2, we don't have that, so that's more just enjoying indoors.
Exactly.
What about Chansey Park? I mean, is that considered in this?
So
'Cause I don't
It's not within the project area specifically.
Yeah.
But,
Make it more accessible.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that too.
but with the odor gone, I think there would be more opportunities and chances for
yes.
development, especially for area 2, and then we can connect those 3 areas together, and that would kind of provide more chances for people to be to provide more walkability in that area, especially.
Here's another question about I can't tell from the pictures, is it 1 story, 2 story, 3 stories?
Sure.
10 stories?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
not 10, but is there a relative, I don't want to call it a ceiling, but let's call it a
No,
ceiling?
we're gonna address that in
of
the
floors?
zoning. Yeah.
Because
We're not putting limits on it right now, because if somebody comes along and says, hey, I want to put an office complex in there, and we want to be 4 stories, and we want to have a top floor, so just making this up, it's serious, that UP could watch as they build a new bridge. That we would probably entertain then having those discussions. We don't want to limit it this time, because we don't want to cut anybody out that might be potential developing. But this is kind of where it all originated. I see Karen back there. But, this all started with the zoning that allowed like 5 different businesses, period, inside there. And they had a really good concept of similar being like Iowa City, where you block it off and you could walk around. And so I think they've taken this and they've moved mountains, literally. And I think that this just gives us a really good plan now that we can actually get those steps knocked out, but continue to move forward. It doesn't have to be done overnight, but continue to progress, because as you know, just as we've seen as we've been working with Atlas, right? When Atlas came in, Roofing Corporation, to the rail park, they brought in other public infrastructure things that they're actually paying for. So we look at the same way. We bring in some other businesses in this area, have them do that. We can offer some tax increment, but they're paying for those improvements, and we might be able to take that road out and then that road out and then start to. So we're building towards something that we can get to the eventual plan that they laid out. But I think it's incredible. You guys did a remarkable job, I think, across the board, every one of you. So I'm really proud of you guys. So. Mr. Mayor?
Good presentation.
Yeah. And we did have some council members that are in too, that I know they took part of the thing. Did you guys have any comments for her? I know you.
No, I thought they put all my ideas in there.
Gotcha. No, thank you very much.
Well, I would also add this, in my role, for example, I'm part of the Mississippi River Parkway Commission, and one of the initiatives that we've kicked off is doing a lot more with pollinators and things like that, which is a perfect fit for the prairie. Also, on the Iowa Scenic Byways Commission, we just received last week an approval for that grant that I presented to you a solid year ago. But that just received approval, and so that's 2 different historical byway hubs that are coming in, which Matt and I had already talked about putting like in this area. So I mean, it's a perfect fit.
And we haven't thrown it out, but we have another topic in here that we're going to slide somewhere. But we're going to engage with Iowa DOT for a rest stop area, welcome center. Because as you come across from Illinois, there's where do you go? And this would be a perfect area to have that, another area to get out, learn about the city, have information available, see those sites that we're going to set up through that grant, all that stuff. So, yeah.
Great.
Don't mention it.
Yes. Travis, is this where you say, is Travis already here? You got, this is where we say everybody go to the Rusty Barrel.
Thank you. So Fair just gave it to me,
Yeah, I was like, my flash drive's next to it, so I'm like, make sure I grab it. Sorry.